Most importantly, yesterday's briefing on our competition with China reaffirmed the need for Congress to work together and pass a clean debt limit without brinksmanship, without hostage-taking. Few things would hand the world over to the Chinese Communist Party more than a first-ever default by the United States. Defaulting would send a loud and clear message to the world that America cannot be trusted, that squabbling democracies are incapable of governing, and that the best days of our country are squarely behind us. To prevent China from overtaking us, we must raise the debt ceiling on a bipartisan basis as soon as we can. No chaos, no brinksmanship, no default. Yesterday's briefing also made clear that the kind of cuts that MAGA Republicans are pushing would be a disaster for staying ahead on China. China would love to see the kind of cuts that the MAGA wing of the Republican Party is pushing. It would guarantee that they'd overtake us across the board on defense and military preparedness, on innovation, on American manufacturing, science and workforce, and so much more, so much more. So let me say it again. China would love nothing more than to see the kinds of cuts across the board that MAGA Republicans are pushing. The kind of cuts Republicans are talking about are dangerous. Instead, Congress must complete the appropriations process as we have in the last 2 years. China's all in on beating us. They're going to do whatever it takes. And the Chinese Communist Party, as the Chinese Communist Party drives their country forward, the worst thing we can do is put America in reverse with funding levels from 2 years ago. It would be malpractice, given what's at stake. Now, we've done some good, important work to outcompete China in the last few years under this Democratic-led Senate. Infrastructure, chips and science, the IRA, and last year's omnibus bill. But we shouldn't stop there. We need to ensure all of those bipartisan efforts are funded. We need to redouble our efforts. We need to keep pushing ahead. There is no doubt that the U.S. and our allies and partners remain the world leaders militarily, economically, and in innovation. But if that's to continue, the United States must be all in on outcompeting China and make it clear to President Xi that his autocratic campaign to dominate the 21st century will not succeed. Now, on another important issue, I have a few very important things to talk about today, including the bill we passed last year and the briefing and its effect on what we should do in terms of debt ceiling and our budget. But here's another one, Medicaid. Yesterday, I joined with a few of my colleagues to shine light on how radical out of touch MAGA Republicans in the House are. In the House budget, they're putting pen to paper on proposals that would devastate American families and slash the programs that millions of people rely on. These are not abstract issues. They would cause immense pain to countless Americans. Republicans have been scrambling over the past few days to try to convince the American people that they won't touch Medicare or Social Security, even though we literally have years' worth of statements and speeches showing that many of them believe just the opposite. But another critical question remains unanswered and must be addressed. Are Republicans also going to target Medicaid? Medicaid is one of the most important programs in the country. 1 in 4 Americans rely on Medicaid to cover their health care needs. Let me say that again. 1 in 4 Americans rely on Medicaid to cover health care needs. It's not just low-income Americans that benefit from Medicaid, as important as helping them is, which of course it is. It's also middle-class families who have to pay, for instance, to put their parents in nursing homes. A couple in their mid-40s who have parents in nursing homes or assisted living would have a huge burden placed upon them if Medicaid were slashed. These families work hard. Cutting Medicaid would put a huge economic burden on them as they struggle and work to stay in the middle class. And Medicaid helps others, too. People with disabilities, pregnant women, children, and so many more. Let me say again, Medicaid is absolutely a middle-class issue in addition to helping low-income Americans. And we on our side want to help both. Are Republicans going to strip away coverage for 1 in 4 Americans? We really don't know, because Republicans won't show us their plan. Americans are right to be worried about their Medicaid benefits because these MAGA proposals are coming right at them at their expense. We must work to protect and strengthen programs like Medicaid, not put them on the chopping block.